Hey there, my friends. This is David Wood, and I just did a video on Facebook where I was talking about some consciousness exercises that you can do for faster, quicker manifestation of what it is that you desire in your life, whether it be you want to manifest a new car, you want to manifest a new house, you want to manifest a new relationship, you want to manifest what you're manifesting already faster in your life, or perhaps you just want to take the things that you already got and you want to live more simply and pay off your debts and make a lot more money than you make right now. These tips that I'm going to give you in this video are going to be carrying on from that Facebook video. If you don't follow me on Facebook, my personal Facebook profile is at facebook.com/The Messiah David. Again, facebook.com/The Messiah David. That's my personal Facebook profile. Now, what I'm going to be talking about in this video in particular, I'm going to talk about some exercises of the consciousness. The reality is that most people cannot pay attention and cannot control to a level of accuracy that they need to manifest their internal conscious dialogue, in other words, the talk that's going inside their head, and their internal imagery that they produce. And so what happens is their brains are constantly producing imagery and thoughts of what they don't want. And then when they try to create something that they do want, the new car, the new relationship, the new house, what happens is their mind doesn't produce clear enough imagery with enough concentration to be able to produce that. So I gave them an exercise in this last video. I was having some issues with my camera, so I'm going to repeat it briefly here. Basically, what I described is that when I was a kid, I learned from reading books. Actually, the book I read was from Deepak Chopra, and I can't remember the name of the book, but he talked about something in there called the infinite field of all possibilities. The infinite field of all possibilities is really the greater universe at large. If you think of the way that your brain works, you have your brain, you have your mind, whatever that is, you have your consciousness and your spirit or whatever, different parts of your being, essentially. And what I want you to think about right now is I want you to think about your consciousness. What is your consciousness really? Well, what your consciousness is not really clearly defined by science. It's not really clearly defined by modern spirituality. What your consciousness really is it's quantum energy. Quantum energy is non-local. And meaning that, for example, one quantum particle could manifest simultaneously in multiple spots. There's a whole bunch of weird behavior that goes on in the quantum universe, but basically your consciousness has the ability to tap into all of the consciousness in the universe. And so when you visualize something with great intensity, or you put a lot of emotional energy into something, for example, with a very quiet mind, what happens is you end up dropping a thought into the infinite field of all possibilities. In my video, I likened this to a pond. If you have a pond and there's no rain and there's no boats on it, and there hasn't been for a while, the pond is going to get really calm, and eventually it'll look like crystal, it'll look like glass, where it reflects perfectly its external environment. Then if you take a rock, and the rock represents an idea, throwing it into the infinite field of all possibilities, which represents the pond, you throw a rock into that perfect pond, you're going to see ripples that actually will go across the entire pond, even if it's really, really, really big. And the more still it is, the more the ripples are going to have an effect. And this is the way your thoughts work. So if you take your thoughts, for example, and you have a very noisy mind, you have a very noisy pond, you have a million motorboats going up and down, you're worried about work, you're worried about your relationship, you're worried about this, you're worried about your kids, and then you're like, oh, I want to be rich on the internet, for example, okay? That's not going to be a very powerful thought in the middle of that pond, and because there's too many distractions going on, you're going to have a very difficult time manifesting it. Now, the value of learning how to do quantum manifestation is actually very simple, okay? The value of doing quantum manifestation with dropping your thoughts into a still mind is you have the ability to tap into all of the resources that are available to you in the entire universe. And what do I mean by that? Well, in this consciousness field that we live inside of, thoughts transfer between minds. They're non-local, meaning they exist in all states at once. And when you place something with energy in the middle of that, what it's going to do is it's going to activate all of the resources and all of the connections and the relationships that you need in order to make that happen, as long as you fulfill your part of the equation, which is going to be your hard work and your consistency in your desire to manifest that outcome. So if you put enough emotional energy and enough consciousness into something, what's going to happen is it's going to activate on a quantum mechanical level all of the resources, all of the ideas, all of the techniques, all of the strategies that need to come to you, that need to come into your life, even the money and all the various, that's part of resources, right? Money, time, energy, energy, those kind of things, they're all going to come to you, right, at the right moment, and then all you've got to do is act on them. If you're not putting this energy into the universe, then what happens is, it's like, really what it's like you're driving your car, but you're not going anywhere, okay? Have you ever gotten in a car and just said, I'm going to go somewhere, right? Normally when you get in a car, you're going to go to the grocery store, you're going to go to, the lake, you're going to go out hunting, you're going to go out fishing, you're going to go to a friend's house, you're going to go on a date. You're doing something in your car. In other words, you're not getting in your car for no reason. A lot of us, we go through life and we're in the universe, right? We're putting our thoughts in the universe, but there's no intention and there's no real reason we're doing anything. We're just kind of going with the flow. We're on a lake, we're on maybe we're on a little inner tube, and there's some waves coming. We're hoping they kind of like eventually get us back to shore. We're not really aimed anywhere a good majority of the time as people. And this is just true. The people that are aimed somewhere, and they're aimed somewhere with a laser focus, are a lot more likely to manifest what it is they want. So this is the difference between getting in a car and saying, I'm going to go somewhere, and then where do you end up? Well, you end up exactly where you wanted to go, which is somewhere. Maybe it's somewhere good, maybe it's not. So the first thing is knowing what you want and then dropping it into the field. How do you do that? Well, simple technique I gave, and I'm going to give you a couple more exercises here, but we've only got 13 minutes left to make this fairly decently short video. Okay, but short for me is 20 minutes or an hour. A short is not 1 minute for me. Okay, I take a little bit long to tell stories, right? So in any case, it's like getting in your car, and now you've got a destination you're going to, and you've got MapQuest on your phone, and then you're driving in a car. It's like turn left, turn right, and then you get to your destination in the shortest possible amount of turns, in the shortest possible amount of time, right? You get to exactly where you want to go. So this is what you're doing with your mind. You're learning to aim your mind at exactly what it is that you want, and learning how to be really clear, not only about what you want, but also to clearly define the parts of your life that you want to have free, that you want to have clear, right? Learning how to really define it. The best way to do manifestation exercises that's easy for most people, okay? This is easy for a good majority of the population. If you have access to a printer, or you could even print something at a copy shop or Walmart, this is a great option for you. Or you have magazines and you can cut out. And if you don't have those things, I would encourage you to find access to them and to do this exercise. And that's to make a dream board. A dream board is going to be a visual collection of what it is that you want. Now, this could be really powerful exercise to do with, for example, your partner, your spouse, or things like this. If you do it with them, you're going to be way more accurate and way more powerful in manifesting it as what it is that you desire. Okay, so what you do is you basically cut out pictures from magazines of boats that you want, of cars that you want, of houses that you want. You take a little tack, you put it on a little piece of whiteboard, you put it on you put a little tape on the wall, okay, or you tack it to the wall, right? And then what you do is you put it somewhere you can stare at it, and you're going to see it every day. So ideally with a dream board, you want to put it somewhere that you can stare at it and you can have private time when you look at it too. Okay, so in other words, it's not, you can put it in the living room, for example, and that's useful because you're kind of walking by the dream board, but maybe it's right next to the TV and people are watching TV all the time. Not an ideal place to put a dream board. Someplace like your room, for example, your office, like you're sitting across, for example, you have a chair, you have a desk, and then right across from you, you have a dream board. That's a really effective place to put a dream board, because if you sit there for 5 or 6 or 8 hours a day, then you're constantly reminded of why it is that you're doing things, okay? And so make a dream board, take as much time as you want with it, put all the photos of everything that you want, and then what you want to do is you want to put it somewhere where you can stare at it, sitting down, doing meditation, and it's going to be maybe at eye level. And the reason you want to do that is because you don't want to have to tilt your head up like this and be uncomfortable when you look at your dream board, because then you're not going to be able to do stillness meditation, which is what I described in my video. You want to put it somewhere like, you could sit on a chair, so you maybe chest level or something like this, and then you can sit at a chair and you can stare at it and you can kind of see all the images in your peripheral vision. Now I gave an exercise of doing stillness meditation. How do you do stillness meditation? Well, Easy way to do stillness meditation. A lot of people, if you even do classes on meditation, people are like, what is meditation really? Or how do I do meditation? Very simple questions, right? Meditation can be described as an act of silencing the mind and all of the distractions in the body. What it's doing is it's quieting the pond, right? So you've got this pond all day, there's boats driving on it. These are representing your thoughts. You're thinking about your kids, you're thinking about the spouse, you're thinking about work, you're thinking about this disaster that's going on over there, you're thinking about this cool thing you want, and it's just all at once. It's just this big mush. So what you want to do is you want to sit down, and when you're doing meditation, it's more important how you're holding your spine than it is how you're holding your legs. Teachers of meditation will tell you this. So for example, if you're comfortable sitting in a full lotus, maybe you don't even know what that is, you can look up a picture of full lotus online and see what it is. Then you can sit in a full lotus, and then you might need your dream board a little bit lower, closer to the floor, right? You want it about eye level, like about the center of your dream board, about eye level. And then what you do is you sit down, you want to make sure your back is totally straight, okay? And your head is erect. You want to make sure you're decompressing your spine a little bit, so it's like you're pushing up a little bit, right? And then you want to allow your neck to be a little bit flexible when you're breathing. Okay, so you don't have to hold it like stiff. They call this being stiff-necked. Just allow it to be relaxed. And then what you want to do is you want to stare at one spot on the dream board that's comfortable, so you're not tilting your head over to the side like this. You want your head to be facing straight. So find a spot, sit right in the center of it. Make sure your back is totally erect. You're in a comfortable position. You don't want to be leaning back like this because this messes up your energetic centers. You want to be literally sitting with a perfectly straight spine. And then you want to breathe deep through your diaphragm, right? If I, zoom the camera in on my stomach, right? Your diaphragm breath would make a Buddha belly. I'm not fat, okay? I just am doing that to do it, right? Big breath. They call that a Buddha belly because the stomach is actually relaxed, okay? So you want to do a Buddha belly breath, breathe in and out, and you want to concentrate on your breathing and allow your mind to be silent. A lot of people will try to force silence in their mind, and then their mind will want to jump all over the place. What you want to do is you just want to focus on what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and what you're feeling. And if you can generate any powerful emotions, this is going to help. So this is combining stillness meditation with a manifestation exercise. And what you want to do is you want to sit there, eyes in one spot. You can stare at another spot the next day, it's fine. And you want to just sit there staring at one spot for about 30 minutes. Okay? And what you're going to notice is your jaw is going to start to relax. You're going to notice the lines in your forehead will start to just relax. Your skin will start to get more smooth. And then what you're going to notice is your field of vision, your periphery is going to open up a little bit. You're starting to hear more sounds, and you're going to go into a trance. Right? Now, if you do that alone, that by itself every day, you're going to be 1,000,000 times more close to achieving your goals than if you never do anything like that. Now, if you're hearing the dog barking in the background, what happens, I'm in a hostel here, the dog's behind there, they wait till I start talking every day. Then once I start talking, they're like, oh, he's talking, he's doing a video now. Now we're going to start to bark and tell him hello. So just, that's okay. We're in quarantine right now, so there's, dogs back there. Love you to the dogs. Just pay more attention as you're hearing them, or just zone it out if you didn't hear it at all. Now, I want to give you some more consciousness exercises. So most people don't know how to hold their imagery in their mind. They don't know how to make imagery in their mind, and they don't know how to keep their mind focused. Really, the ability to focus the mind is really related to your mind's ability to work with and pay attention to visual imagery, at least if you can see. Okay, so your ability to pay attention to and control the visual imagery that you make in your mind really has a lot to do with how focused you can be and how clearly you can manifest your desires. And so the next thing is you want to have exercises that you do through the day. Now, if you can't take 30 minutes to do stillness meditation, you're literally, if you can't set aside that time, there's almost no amount of work that you can do in the rest of your day to make up for the time that you're going to lose by not doing manifestation exercises. They're that powerful. In other words, what you're building and how you're acting and your actions that you're taking, they can either have this much significance or they can have this much significance. How are they going to have this much significance if they're not aimed anywhere and you're going all over the place? So if you're aimed all over the place, or you're getting in your car and you're driving nowhere fast, you can work really, 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 really hard and wind up creating almost absolutely nothing. Let me see how much time I got. 5 minutes left. Whereas if your mind is really clear and your intention is really powerful and you're very, 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 very focused on your dreams and goals, no matter what's going on, if there's barking going on behind you, if there's sounds going on around you, if the dishes fall and break, and you're just focused on the sound of my voice, no matter what it is that's going on around you. If you're indeed focused now, and I'm actually going to go somewhere else because that's just a little bit too much for me. It's too much, right? It's a little bit more quiet here. So if you're basically, now I'm going to go all the way down here just because I can do hypnosis on you all day and there's still dogs barking in the background. It's a lot of work to tone that out of your mind. I've only got like 4 minutes left, so let me see if I can turn on a light out here. Ah, here we go. This works. All right. There's actually a Catholic church back here. So my point is with these exercises, let me see where I can get the best. There we go. The point is with all of these exercises, not a school of a background here, but at least it's a little bit more quiet, is you want to match being able to pay attention to your external environment with being able to generate internal imagery. So the next thing is you want to take a photo of something that you want. For example, it could be a Ferrari. And you want to get really good at visualizing that Ferrari in 3 dimensions like it's right in front of you. This takes some work. A lot of times people are like, I have a hard time visualizing. Okay, I can pay attention to something, but making something inside my head like an image, this is really difficult for me. This is very common. However, if you never learn to visualize, you're just never learning to use the strongest part of your brain to connect with information. So it's very important that even if you're not good at it, that you take the work and the time that it needs to be able to learn to do it, even if it's difficult for you, right? Some people have more difficult time with visual imagery than others. For example, when I first started visualizing, my visual imagery wasn't very clear. It was blurry. The images were shaky. You know what I mean? It took me a long time to be able to hold still images in my mind, and I'm still working on that today. Still, they get a little bit shaky if I hold a still image in my mind for 5 or 10 minutes. It'll start to shade, it'll start to shaky, it'll start to degrade, and things like this. It takes a lot of work and a lot of consciousness to take a 3-dimensional image and to hold it bright, clear, with detail right in front of you. And how do you do that? Well, one way to do it is you just take an image of your car, okay? Really concentrate on one point in it. Then look at a blank spot on the wall, maybe above your dream board or something like this, maybe to the left or the right, maybe turn your chair. And then what I want you to do is I want you to try to recreate that image without looking at it, right? So you look at it, and then you try to recreate it by remembering the maybe a groove or detail point in that image. So you look at the Ferrari, you pick your favorite part, then you think about that part and your brain will recreate the image. It happens very fast. So a lot of people who have a hard time visualizing this exercise, we got 1 minute 40 seconds left, it'll teach them over a period of days, over a period of weeks to actually produce mental imagery, because they realize that all they have to do to produce the mental imagery is remember a tiny part of one of the images that they were looking at, and then that tiny part creates an electrical pattern in the brain that reproduces the entire image, and it happens very fast like that. Then what you learn to do is you learn to hold that in your mind, and then what you do is you learn to make it 3-dimensional. You learn to make it in color, and you learn to keep it absolutely still. Stillness is important. Then you learn to add motion to it, right? But you want to learn to do all the things with it. So for example, you take a Ferrari, and we got 59 seconds left. Now you imagine yourself getting in, turning a key into the side, opening it, your hand, and feel the weight on the door. You're seeing it at the same time. You open the door, and then you sit inside, you stick the key in, you turn it, you hear the ignition, and then you put your hands on the steering wheel, and then you drive it. Then you want to take another 5 or 10 minutes, and you want to go through mental imagery exercises with the images that are on your dream board, but without looking at your dream board, okay? This is going to exercise the internal part of your imagination, so you have what you're looking at and what you're paying attention to, which you're exercising your attention, then you're exercising your internal. Now, I'd like to spend a lot more time than that doing visualization. What this does is this activates your neural network, and if you pay attention to the next videos that I share, I'm going to teach you how to get rich from your actions. So pay attention to every video I put out now.